Welcome to our world. Won't you come on in? Waiting just for you. Welcome to our world.
You should explain what happened.
So here's what happened.
Whenever a story starts with like that big sigh,
a
the tale of what?
burgeoning runner. No, I've been running like consistently for the past few weeks, and I have injured myself today. I don't know. I can't walk on it.
Did the injury
Really bad.
occur right when the person tripped you?
No, it was right after that.
Okay, right after.
Yeah. It's like the inside of my leg, above my ankle, and
And you were just running.
I was running, and in hindsight was maybe trying to run a bit too fast
You're
for my
overdoing it.
little legs.
Yeah.
So
You're quick though.
no,
You
I
are
know I
quick.
am, but I haven't. Obviously, it's not like I'm running sprints every day or something.
Right.
And so I think I just pushed it. I mean, obviously, I just pushed it a little bit too hard today. So hopefully I'm not out for too long. But
Yeah.
I am injured.
Yeah.
Your girl's injured, everyone. So
That's bad.
I have more bad news.
Okay, go ahead.
We are going down to one episode per week. I know. This is heartbreaking for everyone, mostly Jim.
You should pause for a moment after you say that.
Sorry.
Because people are probably going to be crying hysterically and they won't hear what you're saying afterward. So give them a while to gather themselves.
Moment of silence.
Yeah. Yep. So the second episode will just be me.
Anyway, we'll still be having we'll have the regular episode still. So like right now what's going to drop is a regular episode.
So the regular episode as in the Tuesday episode.
Yeah, just like a whole topic, right?
Right.
And then we are just going to throw pretty much the Friday part of it on the end of that. So instead of having two episodes that are each around 30-ish minutes. Well, I guess the Fridays are usually shorter. They're usually 20. But that's my point. We're going to have today, like, the main topic, which is around 30 minutes. Or if it's a longer thing, it could be its own thing. And then right after. So today, what I'm saying is the people are going to hear our main topic, which we'll get to in a second. And then you're also going to hear on today's episode everything that you would hear in the blend. So we're still going to do listener comments and all that good stuff.
But but it'll be shorter than the two separate episodes would have been.
That's what
Yeah, I'm saying it'll be longer than a single episode, but shorter than two. In other words, it will be lesser than the sum of its parts. The opposite of what people normally expect,
Okay.
We're giving you less. We're like our shareholders,
for the same price.
Our shareholders demand more
inflation
profits,
and all that, you know?
And therefore, we are giving you less.
It's
and
crazy.
You'll be happy with it.
And you'll take it.
Yeah.
You'll take what we give you and you'll be grateful.
Yes. And thank us and you're welcome.
The great thing about that analogy you just used is that's a wonderful segue into our episode topic today. Jim, what is it?
It's basically Disney.
Yes.
And the Disney parks in particular. Well, you know what? And come to think of it, though, as we get into this, it will be more than just the parks the more I think about it. But
right. The company in general.
It's about Disney. Yeah, I guess it's more about the company. Disney and how their pricing has changed over the years. No one ever thought of Disney as like maybe a bargain deal or anything like that. And there were those people who were kind of always anti-Disney, I think. But for people who were always big Disney fans, I mean, even those people over the last few years have really become disenchanted.
Nice.
Have
Nice.
just gotten aggravated with everything. So
because you and I recently went. We went last week to Magic Kingdom.
right.
Had a subpar time.
To be expected.
To be expected.
Because
But
we didn't, the company, right?
it just wasn't very good.
Yeah.
But we were talking about, and this I think is the perfect example of our complaints in general about this. We were talking about the Lightning Lane pass that Disney has now. And for those of you who maybe haven't been to Disney or haven't been in a while or whatever, so you have the rides that you can go on. You have the regular standby line that you can wait, whatever the wait time is,
Yeah, and
depends
it varies,
on,
obviously.
Yeah, right.
It might be, I guess if it's a slow day and it's not a real popular ride or a ride that's been around for a long time, you may have a very short wait.
Right.
Right. But the more popular rides, you could have a 90-minute wait. Or,
Right.
God, if it's on the really busy days, it could be more than that. The weird thing is, sometimes people will still wait for those. But
As we've mentioned in a previous episode, the wait time for one of the rides that I worked at in Pandora, the World of Avatar, was regularly, when it opened, an 8.5 hour wait.
Yeah.
And that was a real wait time. That was
Yeah.
an actual 8 hours.
yeah, it was the same thing with the Frozen ride when it opened.
Well, it wasn't
they had
8
the
hours,
line.
but it was.
No, it
was not
close.
8.
Yeah,
8 hours.
I'm
It
an
was
expert
not
on
8
this.
hours. So you have the regular standby line. Just depends on time of year, how many people are there, whatever, all that stuff. And then what they used to have was called Fast Pass. And that was, as you would imagine, a secondary line that the wait was not as long. Because what they would do was, they had the paper tickets at Walt Disney World too.
Oh, yeah.
At one time.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is Disneyland and Disney World. That's
Yep.
why
Yep.
I had to think about it. There were kiosks that you could go to where they had pretty much a set amount of paper fast pass tickets per day. And so if
per
you
day
per
day
day-
per ride
per ride.
per day per
yeah,
ride
per
yeah.
day per ride. So you wanted to go on, I don't know, the Tower of Terror at Hollywood Studios. The first thing you would do when you came into the park that day, you would go to the Tower of Terror, to the Fast Pass kiosk, and you would get a Fast Pass ticket.
Yeah, you scan your regular ticket.
Right. And you would get a ticket with a return time for later. Cool.
Right.
And then you just didn't have to wait in the super long line. So say
Right.
at some point during the day, the wait time was 60 minutes for that ride. But then your Fast Pass was during that time when it was 60 minutes. You got to go through the secondary line. Maybe you waited 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's a much quicker experience, right?
So you get to enjoy the park. And it,
yes.
And it basically made sure that everyone wasn't all at one ride at the same time.
Yeah.
It sort of distributed the guests throughout the park, and it was a fair way to do it. And the other thing was, I think it was, you could only get up to 3 fast passes at a time.
At a time, right.
Right.
So it's not like you could go around to all of the kiosks, be getting all of the fast passes, just stack them up. You couldn't do that. And as I mentioned, it was a limited supply. So if you were, an hour, if it's a really popular ride, you came into the park an hour later than everybody else, you might still be able to get a fast pass, but maybe it's for like 7 p.m. that night, right? And then once the tickets are gone, they're gone for that day.
Right.
There are no more fast passes.
Right.
That's
you can
the
go
end
in the
of it.
standby line.
You can wait in the standby line if you want to
that's
wait
your
the
option.
hour.
Right. But it was fair. It was completely fair.
It was a completely fair system. And the most important thing about this system was it was entirely free. It was included in your park admission.
Exactly.
So you bought a ticket, and first come, first serve.
Yep.
You get it. So if you plan properly, people would complain that they didn't know about this system, but if you planned properly,
right,
you were fine.
Right,
yes.
right.
What?
And again, no one ever said, boy, an adult pass for Disney or even a child pass for Disney for a day is cheap. No one ever said that,
No.
right? So no one thought that the park tickets were inexpensive, and they never thought also that the food or the merchandise was inexpensive. But the bottom line was, once you got in the park, that you were covered. You could even,
Right.
you could even bring food in if you really didn't want to spend a lot of money on food.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, you sort of knew what you were in for. It was not cheap, but it's the experience. You're paying for the experience.
Right. I just had a lot of thoughts pop in my head while you were talking, but I'll continue with what we're talking about right now.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the original Fast Pass system. Okay.
Which, by the way, aligned with what Walt Disney wanted.
Correct. Which I think is the root of most people's anger when it comes to this issue, because his whole thing was he wanted to create a place where families could go and spend time together, and it was not about the money
Right.
for him. It was about the experience.
And the kids obviously could have fun, but the parents could have a good time too. So
I said
it was,
families.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So the point is, there were some things that were not just geared strictly toward children, like
Right.
some things where you can learn and just cool things.
A few years ago, I guess we'll start with this, which they don't have this anymore, I don't think. Because a few years ago, they transitioned from Fast Pass to the Genie
Yeah,
Plus
Genie
and all
Plus.
that,
Yep.
where that's when they started saying that's when they made the transition from a completely free system included with your park admission to a paid Fast Pass system. Okay. Now, the way I feel about this is, and I think a lot of people would agree, is the past few years making the changes that Disney has made, they have made the parks, they have geared the parks more towards rich people with money.
Absolutely.
Because if you don't have the money, you're not going to have a good time, first of all, at this point. You're just genuinely not, because you're going to have to wait in all these super long lines. You're not. Anyway.
While you constantly see
Yes.
that the upper class basically
Yes.
walk past you in the lightning lane,
Yeah.
right? And wait no time while you're waiting like, an hour and a half,
right,
2 hours to get on one ride.
But sorry, I'm getting off track because I'm getting annoyed thinking about this. So the Genie Plus system was per ride. They had a thing where you could pay, and they also, not at first, but after a couple months, I think it was, they introduced like a tiered surge pricing thing. Per ride, you could pay for like a Fast Pass, pretty much, that you could get in this secondary line.
Do you remember what the cost was? Because for some reason I'm remembering like $20 some dollars.
Well, like I said, it depended on the ride and the time of year after a certain point. So I remember during Christmas, some of the, and I'm not going to give a specific number because I genuinely don't remember what the numbers were for this. But the lower ones I remember, like just for a random day, was like $15 per person.
Right.
Okay. Per ride. The higher ones, I'm remembering going up to like 45, 50 or somewhere around there per ride per person. Okay.
Yeah,
which it's crazy because at that point, I remember thinking, this is insane.
Oh, and that's on top of your ticket to get into the park.
On top of your park admission. Yes. Yeah. Okay. And so that was Genie Plus, and we were all mad about that. What Disney has done now is they have transitioned from that, and they have turned it into what is now called Lightning Lane. So same idea, it's still that secondary line. However, with the Lightning Lane, you now have to pay per person, per day, I don't think it's, wait, actually it is per park probably, because it showed the different parks.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that changes so much because it's even more than I thought it was. Okay, anyway. You have to pay this set amount.
So how much is this?
Here's what I want to explain, because my coworker was going to Disney last week or a couple weeks ago and was telling me about how it's like for him and his wife and his two daughters, it was like $1,200 just for park admission for one day for them to get into the Magic Kingdom, okay? Just for park admission.
How could that?
Which they also do like a surge pricing thing, I'm pretty sure now for the park tickets. So busier times of year are more expensive.
That's like $300 per person. That sounds high to me.
That's what he was saying.
Okay.
Maybe he was including in that like parking and stuff like that. I don't know.
Right.
But that's what he had said. Okay. So you have your admission. Let's say it was 1,000. Let's say it was 200 per person, which is more than reasonable. Not reasonable as in reasonable to pay, but like knowing what we know. So let's say it was 1,000. Okay. And then he's talking about how he can't decide whether or not he's going to pay for Lightning Lane. And I'm like, at this point, I know of Lightning Lane, but I don't know the specific numbers or anything like that. He starts telling me how the day that they're trying to go, because they do surge pricing for this, the day that they're trying to go, it would be $200 per person for them to get Lightning Lane for one day at the Magic Kingdom.
And what does that get you?
Oh, sorry, I didn't explain that. Lightning Lane will get you onto any ride at the Magic Kingdom. I think it only said one time though, so that's even more of a thing. Any ride, the most popular rides are not excluded or anything
And
like.
how many rides?
Any ride.
Any ride at all.
But I think it's only once.
So it doesn't. Well, only once. But you could. So you could go in the Lightning Lane for every single ride in the park.
That's my understanding.
Okay.
of it.
Well, for that price, I guess technically not that. Ooh, that's a great deal. It's a great deal for shareholders of Disney and for the CEO of Disney. For customers, it's a horrible deal. We're going to rip you off. We're going to continue to rip you off. We're basically, here's what they do now. They remind you, okay, from the moment before you even walk into the park, this is a business. We don't care about you. We don't care about the Disney magic or any of that.
Nope.
Beyond the point where it will bring profit into the company.
Yep.
You know, and that is the thing. I mean, obviously, when Walt Disney was around, which he obviously died a long, long time ago before, Disney World even opened. But after he died, his legacy kind of carried on, right? So for a long time, they still sort of maintained that, if you want to call it the Disney magic, whatever. Was it a little bit expensive? Yeah, but when you looked at what you got, right, the quality of the park, how clean it was, just everything.
Yep.
You could justify it. Anymore, you can't justify it. And honestly, it ruins the experience, not just the price, not the amount of money you're paying, but because what it says about what they think of you.
Yes.
And the idea that they've separated people into classes now.
Yes.
Before it was first come, first serve. Yeah, it was expensive, but anybody could save up and go. Now it's just,
and it's not.
It's horrible what they've done.
And I think so when you and I were having this conversation, we were waiting in line for something, and because we did not pay for that. And
but for us, it doesn't matter because we have the annual passes, right?
Right. And so it doesn't matter, but I'm just making the point. I would never pay for that. Right. I don't care. I'm never paying for that. It's not happening.
There is no ride. I don't care if it's the day it opens and it's, like you said, Avatar, I don't care how popular it is. There is no way I'm paying that much to get on a ride.
And I also want to clarify, this has nothing to do with how much money I have. I could be Elon Musk and I would not be paying for this.
Right.
It's not happening.
Right. Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And so you and I are in line for whatever we're in line for. And we were in line for It's a Small World, actually, now that I'm remembering. And I was looking because once they said because you had asked me, well, how much is this actually? And I said, I just know that my coworker said about it being $200 per person per day. But then I saw something about saying it did surge pricing. And I was like, that's insane. We should look at that. Okay. I looked that up. And when you looked on the calendar for next month, the highest one that I saw for next month for Magic Kingdom per person per day for this Lightning Lane, what was it, like $465 or something?
Like so think about that. So you're saying then it would be over $600 to get in the park, and to be able to use the Lightning Lane.
It's insane.
It's completely insane. And so now, okay, just this morning,
he's throwing his arms in the air in exasperation.
I'm flailing wildly like a wild man. They just had now that Disney's talking about demand pricing, right?
Right.
For their park tickets and all. And here's the thing.
I guess they don't do that then.
Well, here's the thing. No. For their regular park ticket,
I know. I thought they already did that.
Well, they do it per day right now.
Oh.
But the way. An example is
stop.
Hold on. The way they do it with airlines, where if you go in and you look up a ticket, and you might go in an hour later, and that price is gone. Now it's all of a sudden $20 more for that ticket. So they're talking about doing the same thing. It may not be every hour. Maybe it's a couple times a day. Okay.
Yes.
Something like that. I wouldn't have an issue with that if that's all they were doing. If it wasn't in addition to this stupid Lightning Lane, give us more money crap and all this other stuff, right? Because you have obviously times that are really busy, right? Like Christmas week is ridiculously busy. So if they if demand pricing helped them sort of smooth things out, I think that's okay. Because then, if you're if you have unlimited funds or you just really want to go over Christmas, you're going to pay for it, right? But if you don't have unlimited funds, you can look for what week is less expensive and you can try to go then. So that to me in itself isn't the issue. The issue is that they're doing that on top of this and on top of this.
Yes.
And when you already know what is driving the company, right? When you already know what they really care about, and I'm not talking, all companies prioritize profit. I'm talking about how much more they prioritize profit. And by the way, short-term profit. So I'm the CEO. I'm not worried about what's going to happen 10 years from now because I'll be long gone. The fact that I'm basically sucking all the goodwill out of the company and all the lifelong fans are just getting completely turned off.
Tell it like it is.
That's okay.
Preach.
No big deal. I'm Bob Iger. All I care about is that I can get another $10 million bonus at the end of the year or whatever. It's disgusting. Okay. It's disgusting. It's immoral. That's and we only talked about the parks. We only talked about the parks so far.
I know. I also want to, I completely agree, obviously, with everything you said. What?
Yeah. No, maybe I'm thinking maybe we won't get into some of the other stuff. We'll talk about some of the other stuff on a different podcast. But anyway.
I also want to, because I feel like a lot of people's argument is with any company, but you know, when they see this kind of stuff, it's like, well, there are two main arguments, I would say. The first is, well, you don't know what it costs to run this company and all that stuff. That's the first argument. And then the second one is, well, they're just doing this to, what's the word? We had talked about this in the park, about how the parks are overcrowded.
Right, to decrease the
right.
Yeah.
Obviously, first of all, so the answer to the first question, yeah, it obviously takes a lot of money to run a company like this. But having worked there, I can tell you that the money that they're making on certain items, if you pay, and I don't know specific numbers anymore, and I don't even remember what the specific numbers were, but like when I worked there, I can just tell you at the numbers from the one resort that I worked at for like their food court.
Yeah.
If you bought whatever it was at the time, I don't know, like a $12 chicken tenders and fries or whatever. What Disney actually paid for that, how much just the item itself, how much money actually went into that was like $1.99 or something like that.
Right.
The amount, it actually wasn't even that high.
Yeah.
Why am I saying it was that high? It was like 99 cents or something. It was extremely low, right? And so, and you know, obviously they have other costs then, like paying employees, and so I'm not suggesting they don't have other costs.
Right.
But the upcharge on certain items is also so egregious and unnecessary that there's really no defense of it.
Yeah.
But they continue to do it because people continue to pay for it.
You know, the one thing I was surprised when we were in the park the other day was that the food prices had not gone up, not much, put it that way. They were probably slightly higher than the last time I was there, which was, you know, a little while ago. So it was like, okay, all right, well, that's good. But I don't think it's because they're saying to themselves, man, we really have, people aren't going to be able to afford to eat. They don't care about that.
No.
What they care about is, okay, at what point, you know, basically, how much can we stretch this before people completely revolt?
Yes.
Before people just say, I'm done. Okay?
How much money can we squeeze out of the people before they will not give us any more?
And you think about the people that are not paying for the Lightning Lane pass. How many are they going to want to come back to Disney? Right now, if you're there, here's the other thing. If you're there during like this time of year, right, when, you know, the temperature's in the 70s, it's comfortable. Okay. Yeah. You don't like the idea of standing in a lane or standing in line, wasting your time when you paid so much to get into the park.
Right.
But other than that, you can live with it. When it's 97, 98 degrees and you're standing in the sunlight beating down on you,
100% humidity,
it makes a difference then. The frustrating thing is, while all this is going on, right, while they've been raising prices, trying to suck more and more of the life out of people, which, by the way, they do that out of their employees too.
They do.
The quality of everything at the park has decreased.
Yes.
Right? So it's not as clean. Things don't look as new. The maintenance has suffered. And granted, okay, the park's older, it makes sense. But for a long time, it didn't matter. It didn't matter if you were there the year something opened or 10 years after it opened or 15 years. It still looked good because they really maintained it.
Well, I mean, let's clarify, because the day that Disneyland opened, it was a mess and half the rides didn't work or something like
right.
that. So
But-
it's
but-
not like
right,
from
right.
day one it was a perfect
No,
park.
but that's all, that's kind of like normal
I know.
sort of
I just
stuff,
want to
but-
clarify. I think, though, this kind of goes back to our conversation previously about the Disney movies, and not that we have to get into all of this, but about how there's a period of time where they just did sequels because or remakes, sequels and remakes.
Right.
Because it's like, well, we know this makes money, so we are going to keep
Right.
doing this.
And it's all short-term thinking.
Yes.
It's all short-term thinking,
Yep.
And at the same time, and I not that we're not going to get in a discussion about this, but at the same time, they got into some of the political things that were going on, okay? So they turned, I don't know, maybe they didn't turn half the country. Maybe they turned 40 or 30% of people off anyway because of some of the things they were doing, right? And then they did all this stuff with the pricing. And so it's kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of like how far, it's the same thing. How far can we push you before you hate us?
Mhm.
It's sad. I mean, a lot of people are already there. A lot of people are already beyond that. And
I think they are, but I think the problem is you still have, because the reason Disney keeps doing this and doing things to squeeze more money out is because you still have a percentage of the population that is like, well, I have the money for it, so
And
I
they're
will
still do
continue
it.
to go.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, if that's what Disney is now, if it's just
Well, that's
parks
what it
for
is.
the elite, then
See,
that's what it is.
Because here's the thing. What they should have done, probably going back about 15 years ago, 10, 15 years ago, they should have planned at that point major expansions.
Yes.
I'm not talking about like a new ride, like retheme a ride or something like that. I'm talking about a new park.
Right.
Or a new major expansion to an existing park. They didn't do that. So, right, they're trying to cut down on the attendance, right? And how can we cut down on the attendance but keep our profit as high, not even as high. They want it to constantly be increasing, and this is how they found to do it.
Yep.
Now, the only thing probably that will happen, they'll get some people that were lifelong Disney fans, they'll get some of those back with the new live action Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Oh my gosh, can we not? That whole thing, a mess from the very beginning. And we could have a whole episode just on that in general.
Let's find the most vile person
Oh,
that we can possibly find to play Snow White.
I think
right?
it's just like, okay, well, we don't have a ton of time to
I know,
talk
that's
about
what I'm saying.
this.
We can't get into all of it.
But yeah, there was just, if you guys don't know about all of the controversy surround, I mean, there's so many different things, and it's not just with Rachel Zegler, who plays Snow White. It's not just with her. It's with so many things surrounding the movie that if you don't know what we're talking about, you need to just do like a little bit of research and look this up yourself.
Watch a few videos.
Watch just a few videos. Watch the video of, and we'll wrap this up right after this. Watch the video of her saying how she hated the movie Snow White as a child and she thought it was stupid and scary. And why would anybody ever want to watch that?
Yeah.
Watch the video of her saying that during the actors' strike, saying that if she was going to be on set for 17 hours in a princess dress, that she should be paid for every hour that it's streamed online. Well, I mean, there are just so many. Anyway, again, it's not just about her. Those are just things that,
when you think about Snow White, I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is arrogance.
Right.
Right? So, no.
Anyway.
No.
Anyway, do you have anything else to say to wrap this up?
I've never punched a woman, but if she was near me, I would say it would be difficult not to.
I think just to wrap that up, and then we are moving on to This Week in History, actually, which is super exciting. It's that other actresses that have had the opportunity to play Disney princesses have said specifically in interviews how honored they were by that, and how as a child it was their favorite movie or like their favorite princess or whatever, and they just so badly wanted to do the part justice, and like how they couldn't believe, and it was like a fairy tale for them being able to do this. And she has just this entire time could not be bashing the role more, the movie itself more, and just
And
does
Walt Disney.
Yeah, and Walt Disney, like, she just seems like she doesn't want to be there at all. So I don't know why she even took the
Well, it's
role.
all about
Genuinely,
her. It's all about her.
Anyway, well,
This week in history.
it's time for This Week in History. May I please,
Oh,
Jim, if you would.
Yeah, the envelope, please.
We're pretty sure I have a high ankle sprain. I think that's what's
now,
going on
just
here.
for the record, though, we're going to have to double check and verify every single This Week in History fact on this.
Without moving into listener comments yet, I will read that someone said the reason Jim was so shocked by King Tut's living 32,000 years ago is because he didn't. And because I was out at the time, right when I came home, I looked at the calendar to verify that I can read, and I can. And
Right.
it said 32,000 years ago.
Right.
So maybe we're just no longer a reliable source. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. I just knew that didn't make sense based on everything. It changed everything that I knew.
I just
if that
didn't
was
care.
right. But anyway, yeah. I know.
I did not, genuinely. Okay, This Week in History. 1997, Schindler's List airs uncut on network television. I've never seen that.
I have never seen it. I've seen parts of it. Obviously,
I've
it's
never
not
seen
like
it.
a feel-good movie.
No, the feel-good
But-
movie of the summer. Bring your wear your
But I
florals.
think
Bring
it's
your friends.
should watch it sometime, obviously.
In 1841, former president defends would-be enslaved Africans in Amistad case. I will read because I have no idea what's going on. I will read. Do you know what this is talking about?
No.
Great. On February 24th, 1841, lawyer and former U.S. President John Quincy Adams, it's exciting. He lived a long time. No, he was later. I thought he was still like I don't have a concept of time.
Wasn't he was a generation removed from John Adams.
Yeah,
right?
I
It
know,
wasn't
but
like his son.
he was still in like the first, wasn't he like sixth or something? President?
Something like that.
He was still, so that's what in my head, that math just doesn't make sense. I don't know. He began to argue the Amistad case to the U.S. Supreme Court. In 1839, La Amistad, a Spanish slave ship, had been sailing from Havana, Cuba to Port-au-Prince, Haiti, with human cargo to be sold. Its unwilling passengers were free Africans who had been kidnapped in Sierra Leone. During the journey, the Africans had rebelled, killing the ship's captain and cook. The Africans then ordered the crew to return them to Africa. However, the ship sailed northward instead and was captured by the U.S. Navy off the coast of New York. The Africans were arrested for murder. Spain then claimed rights to La Amistad and her cargo. Abolitionists hired the former president to defend the prisoners. In an argument lasting 8.5 hours and spanning 2 days, Adams attacked the government attorney's argument that the treaty with Spain should override U.S. principles of individual rights. The court ruled in favor of returning the Africans to their native land. Thank goodness.
That's
I was
cool.
so worried that was not going to...
Well, and the thing is, that's funny because that's like 25 years before, or 20 some years before the Civil War.
Yeah.
So it was before the Emancipation Proclamation.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of cool. I mean, obviously, we know from the movie 1776 that even at the time of the Declaration of Independence, there were a lot of people that were against slavery.
They tried to, if y'all don't know this, they tried to include a specific section about, letting slaves be free.
Right.
And pretty much other people in the Congress would not pass the Declaration if that clause was in there.
It probably would have been almost like the Civil War. I mean, it would have avoided the Civil War, but the United States wouldn't be what it is.
No.
You'd have either a smaller number of states that made up the United States. You'd have like a North and a South. It would have been weird.
Yeah. In 1964, Muhammad Ali defeats Sonny Liston.
Yep.
Is that his name?
Sonny Liston, yep.
In a technical knockout to win the world heavyweight boxing crown. Very cool.
Yep.
I don't have anything else to say about that.
I mean, I really remember that. I was a year old, and I remember watching the boxing match. And I don't remember any of
Okay.
that.
In 1993, terrorists bombed the World Trade Center. Why did I not know that this was a
That
thing?
was the one where it was like in the basement or
A
something of the
bomb
World Trade
planted
Center.
by terrorists
Yep.
exploded in a parking garage,
Oh,
leaving
under
behind a 200-foot wide crater and causing the collapse of several steel-reinforced concrete floors in the vicinity of the blast.
But it didn't bring the tower down, obviously.
Although the bomb failed to critically damage the main structure of the skyscraper, 6 people were killed and more than 1,000 were injured. The World Trade Center itself suffered more than $500 million in damage.
Wow.
Man.
Think of like the evil involved for someone to do that.
This guy also had terrorist plans that included a plot to kill Pope John Paul II.
So whatever happened to him, does it say?
He remained at large until February 1995 when he was arrested in Pakistan. On the flight back to the United States, he reportedly admitted to a Secret Service agent that he had directed the Trade Center attack from the beginning and even claimed to have set the fuse that exploded the 1,200-pound bomb. So he was arrested.
I wonder what happened to him since then, though. You should look that up.
If anyone wants to look that up, his name was Ramzi Ahmed Youssef, if that's how you say it.
Yeah.
Let us know what happened. In 1827, New Orleans celebrates Mardi Gras for the first time.
1827. Wow.
Yes.
It's a long time ago.
A group of students initiated it. That's exciting.
So it was basically just college students getting out of control.
The early years of the celebration turned violent and uncontrollable.
There you go.
So yes, that's what it sounds like.
There you go.
As there
Did
was
they
little
take down any street lights or anything?
Stop that. As there was little formal organization or oversight. But in the 1850s...
They moved to Philadelphia.
I'm leaving.
No.
It became a more formal celebration.
Okay.
Just leave them alone. Just leave them. They're just happy to be there.
Gotta kick them out.
1994. Well, first of all, on February 28th, Ramadan begins. And then in 1994, first NATO military action occurs.
What date was that?
February 28th, 1994.
Military action for what?
U.S. fighter planes shot down 4 Bosnian Serb warplanes engaged in a bombing mission in violation of Bosnia's no-fly zone. Well, okay. And our last one for this week, 2017. Scientists announced discovery of oldest fossils on Earth.
Wow.
They announced the discovery of microfossils that were almost 4.3 billion years old, making them some of the oldest evidence of life on the planet. That's sounds
wild
fake,
because,
too.
Well,
someone look that up.
How do we prove this?
Wait, the microfossils were developed from bacteria that are a lot like present-day bacteria found near hydrothermal vents on the sea floor.
So, I think the Earth has only been around for like 5 billion years, right? Either the Earth or our solar system or the sun. I think the
Zero
Earth.
Concept of time. This girl.
Oh, okay. Well, no, I think 5 billion years, right around the time of the Egyptian Empire, right? But no, so that's pretty cool. So that was it's funny because you think, it was 5 billion years, and then you think 4.7 billion years. Wow, it wasn't even here that long. No, that's still 300 million years. Like when you put time into perspective and you think that, yeah, like Jesus was born a little over 2,000 years ago. And like, that's nothing compared to how long the Earth has been here, or like I guess there's been life on the Earth then. Like that's just insane. God,
well,
you don't seem to be interested in that. So
on to
listener feedback.
Listener feedback. Okay, anyway. Someone commented, my wife would strongly agree about the men versus women being sick thing. I always make a big deal when I'm sick because I like it when she feels bad for me and takes care of me, but she's definitely tougher than I am. So kudos to this person for admitting it.
Hey, well, hold on a minute.
Nope.
Because I thought a lot about that.
You're weak.
How do you ever prove this? Like no one really knows
I will
how
tell
another
you.
person.
I
No
will.
one
You asked the
knows how
question.
another
I'm about
person.
to answer it.
No, but no one knows how. I don't know how. I never know if you're going through pain, your ankle right now or above your ankle, whatever. I have no idea how much pain you're really in.
I have such a high threshold for pain. It's incredible.
I do too.
No, you don't. You
No, see,
complain
now
about.
that's what you can't
Dad,
do.
you could. Here's the thing, okay? I know that you don't have a high threshold for pain because I hear about it anytime,
But
any single time you
because
feel the
I-
slightest pain in your body.
because I probably have more pain than most people. Probably I deal with more pain than I would say probably 99.9%
Okay,
of the
we're moving
public.
on. On our most recent episode, freedom of speech, which we will have a part 2 for at some point because I feel like there's a lot of stuff that we could say about that.
Yeah, and there's stuff that keeps happening in the world to do with that.
I don't know what the joke was, but someone said, Sam, your answer to the joke was correct and funnier. I'm funnier.
Yeah, hold on. Hold on.
I don't know what it
You can't
was.
say that and not know what it was to do with.
I'm
I
not-
can't even respond to it.
I'm not going to listen to the whole episode. There's not a time there. It just says. So I'll just assume she meant that in general. That I am correct and funnier. I will not apologize to you.
I don't
Because
think-
apologizing is for the weak and wrong, which is why you should apologize to me because you are weak and wrong.
No. If your answer was funnier, the only reason is because probably I was in a lot of pain that day. That's it. That's it. I was
Why-
probably experiencing extreme pain. I have a headache right now, by the way.
Yeah, we know. I know because you told me that earlier. Why can you not just let me have this one thing? Do you not remember last week or the week before that when someone commented, Samantha, you're funny too sometimes. But Jim,
Okay.
when he makes jokes, I spit out my drink. Do you not remember that? You can't
I
just let me
vaguely-
have this one.
I do remember. No, I'm not. I'm fine with you having it. I
No,
just
you're
need to
not.
know. No, I need to know what it was. What it was in.
All right.
What it was about, so that next time I can make sure it doesn't happen.
Okay. Another comment on this same episode, freedom of speech. Inciting violence is really properly referred to as a call to action. People can sit around all day saying how much they hate some group of people, but they cross the legal line when it becomes, let's go bring violence to these people. One of the problems is that nowadays, this pervasive idea that speech is violence under certain conditions. So then all bets are off, really. One has to remember, this is a long comment, one has to remember that Galileo was once shunned for believing that the sun was at the center of our galaxy as opposed to the earth. Sure, that's not hateful, but people wanted to shut him up because he was so clearly wrong and it was blasphemous. Turns out he was right. So we sacrificed potential knowledge and
Was he?
revolution. So we sacrifice potential knowledge and revolutionary ideas if we say there are certain things that are off limits to talk about, when in reality there should be no fear of legitimately false speech since the truth will always win out in the end. And if the majority of people believe that something false is true, then maybe it actually is true and you're just wrong.
That's a great point. That last sentence is a great point.
I think it was a good point.
Yeah, and that's the whole reason for free speech. That is the reason for freedom of speech, and it goes back to this concept of hate speech or misinformation. It's like one person's misinformation is another person's information. In other words, everyone can't have their own truth, right? There is one objective truth, but no one can assume that their truth, if it differs from someone else, my truth is the truth.
Right.
Like prove it. Trust the science. Which
Yeah, I
also
guess-
you should question science, by the way. Go ahead.
For me, it's just, and I agree with pretty much everything that person said, but for me, it's like, so then the loss of life is worth you being able to say whatever you want to say whenever you want to say it.
The
You know
lots
what
of
I
life.
mean?
You lost me.
Like when it gets to the point where it becomes people that are
violence?
Because my whole
Oh, no,
point,
no,
no,
no.
because my whole point in that episode was you were saying about, well, you should be able to say whatever you want. And if you're in a group online and all that stuff, and you guys all agree, you should be able to say what you want. And I said, yes, you should, but it's those groups that lead to the the actual violence, and then
Right.
or like just those, you know what I mean?
Here-
And so my point is, you should be able to say whatever you want, but then if we all agree on that, then we're saying we accept that a loss of life will happen because of this.
I don't think.
No, but that's how
I think that's a
that's what it is.
stretch.
No, it's not, because that's what we have right now. Right
Just
now we
because
have
haven't.
free
No,
no,
but
but
it's
right now we have free speech, and these things happen, and these
right.
hate groups pop up, and people die. And so that's what we have right now.
But that's because of violent people who actually commit violent acts. In
Yes,
other words,
but these violent people sometimes become violent through these channels where they find other people that are at like a 3 on the violence scale, and all these people find each other and they're like, oh,
I think
we
it's
actually are all right, and now they're all at like an 8 on the violence scale.
I just think it's a really fine line. And if, like, in other words, if I hate Donald Trump and I talk about what an idiot he is and how much I hate him and he's the next Hitler and all of that, okay, that's different than me saying, okay, here's the plan. We're going to go do this.
But it's a continuation of the first one. That's what I'm saying. It's all one line. We're not talking about 2 different scenarios. We're talking about a progression on the same line.
I know, but the problem is if you
So we accept a loss of life. That's all I'm saying. It's going to happen.
I guess you know what it's like. Yeah, it's kind of like the Second Amendment, right? In other words, the freedom to bear arms means that there are people who
They're
will
going to die.
use a gun to kill someone, right? So yeah, it's part of freedom. It's part of freedom. But
That's
what
all
I'm
I'm
saying,
asking.
I guess what I'm saying is though, you don't hold the person at the very beginning of that line who just said, I don't like this person, or they're an idiot. You don't hold them responsible now if somebody down the line turns around and is violent and kills somebody. Okay.
Anyway,
It's a fine line, and you got to figure out where it is. But you have to at least be actively advocating and planning, I would say. You know,
we accept
like if
the
I
loss
said
of
to
life
you,
for our freedom.
if I said to you, I think you should go shoot this person. Okay?
I know.
Am
but
I responsible now for
any
that?
examples you're going to give me are still what I'm saying. It's still all on the same line. It's all a progression.
Mhm.
It doesn't. Absolutely no one, unless you're actually there's some chemical imbalance in your brain and there's
Mhm.
something mentally wrong with you.
Mhm.
No one wakes up one day
What do you mean, yes?
after having zero like like conceptions
Premeditate-
about something. Yeah, whatever.
I said medication.
Pre-medications.
Premeditate.
No one literally wakes up and all of a sudden is like, yeah, I'm going to kill someone today because I just decided I don't like him. So what I'm saying is we accept that there's going to be a progression when people can say whatever they want and find whatever groups that agree
Yeah.
with them and all this stuff. There is a progression that has happened and could happen and will happen in the future
Yeah.
where people are going to die because of that progression.
Well, a perfect
That's
example
all I'm
is
saying.
that guy that just a few months ago, whatever, killed the CEO of the health
Yes.
insurance company, right? And it's amazing how many people stick up for this guy.
Anyway,
So, but to me, he's held responsible. You still allow free speech.
Okay.
That's where I stand on it. And my point of view is really the only valid point of view. Let's all be honest.
that's an excellent segue
Trust the me.
That's an excellent segue into the airing of grievances because no, it's not.
Okay.
No, you're wrong.
Okay. Is that the grievance?
My only grievance right now is my ankle. We think I have a high ankle sprain, and it just hurts really bad.
You know what I was thinking as far as the airing of grievances? This episode was an entire airing of grievances.
Well,
about the Disney thing.
yeah,
but it was. It was. Come
so
on.
then I should just put that music right at the start, or like that clip, the grievances clip. I should put that at the start of the episode instead.
I guess technically, you know.
I wonder how long this is going to take to heal.
You're going to be off your feet for quite some time. All the work you've done getting up to where you are now with this exercise routine.
Why would you say that?
It's just, you're going to have to.
Now I have a
What do you
grievance.
do?
Why would you say that?
I don't know. What do you do? That's the thing. When you hurt yourself like this, right? If you've been trying to walk and run and all this more, and all of a sudden this happens, what do you do? what do you do? Short of like amputation and then
You
just go around.
go into your room
There you go.
and you curl up under the covers and you cry, which is what I'm about to do right now.
Okay. Very
Goodbye, everyone.
good. Bye.
Goodbye, cruel world.
Bye.
Ow, I can't put any weight. No.
Mhm. Now, as we take you to Slumberland, enjoy this smooth jazz sung by our own Samantha. You're on. Oh, yeah. She has to clear her throat first.
Good night, my friend. I don't know the words. Something the moment is ending.
Yeah.
Good night, my friend.
Okay, that's enough.
Anyway, that's all the excitement you're getting from
That's
me
our
today. I'm too
takeout
tired.
for this week.
No, that's how we're starting the episode.
I know. It's the beginning.
Maybe. No, this is an outtake.
Okay.